This is the top 5 gainers and top 5 losers analysis for April 16, 2019, and that's a Tuesday. So, my name is JZ De Guzman, and I'll be talking about 10 different stocks, of course, with my technical analysis, overall sentiment, and trade setups or recommendations for those who already have a position and for those who are still planning on whether or not they will trade these issues. And these 10 stocks are PLDT, Semirara Corporation, GGS, Double Dragon, Green, PHEN, Pure Gold, Philippine National Bank, VITA Rich, and ZHI. So I'll be talking about PLDT first. Okay, so PLDT TEL. So PLDT closed on Tuesday at 1,195 pesos per share. That is above its volume weighted average price of 1,187.67. And as we can see here, for the past how many? Let's count how many trading days has it been moving above its 10-day simple moving average. Let's use this measure icon here. So here, from here to there, so we got 6 trading days. So PLDT has been moving above its 10-day simple moving average for 6 trading days already. So it managed to recover its position above the short term and also above the medium term moving average, which is the 50-day simple moving average. However, PLDT must break out above 1,285 for it to regain or recover its position, its bullish position in the long-term scale, which is above the 200-day simple moving average. Nonetheless, I think the 3 criteria that we're looking for are present on PLDT. What criteria are these? Criteria for what? Criteria for, before you top up or before you consider buying new shares on a particular stock. We have 4 criteria, and they are: number 1, should be a green candlestick. Number 2, the last price should be above the volume weighted average price or equal to the VWAP. Number 3, volume should be at least 50% or above 50%, of the 10-day volume average of the stock. And lastly, the fourth criterion, the most traded range and the most voluminous range should be closer to the intraday high than the intraday low. So when those 4 criteria are present, then you have a data-driven reason to proceed with your plan to top up or enter a new position or buy new shares on that particular stock. Okay, so in this case, 3 out of 4 criteria are already present. Later on, I'm going to show you the price volume distribution chart for PLDT for us to validate or verify if the 4th criterion is also present on this name. But for now, let's take a look at the other parameters that we need to check on this stock's chart. So foreign investors, by the way, on Tuesday, they bought about 61 million pesos worth of shares. This is the biggest net foreign buying that foreign investors have registered since March 15, 2019. And that's the biggest net foreign buying that they have registered. Okay, now let's take a look at MACD. MACD started moving above the signal line since April 10, 2019. And that was also the time when the candlestick of PLDT managed to crawl above its 10-day simple moving average as well. So that was the confirmed We got one confirmed buy signal on PLDT last April 8, 2019, when it was priced between 1,135 and 1,160. Okay, historical volatility is at 24%. It's a low risk level for PLDT. Now let's take a look at the price and volume distribution chart for PLDT. Let's check if the fourth criterion is also present on PLDT. 1,199 is the intraday high, 1,169 is the intraday low. So obviously, the most voluminous and most traded range is registered closer to the intraday high than the intraday low, and that range is between 1,190 all the way to 1,199. So in other words, just in case you would like to top up or do a test buy on PLDT, you have the go signal to do that. There are four criteria that are present that will back up that decision should you decide to go for it. And make sure that when you do a test buy or when you top up on your current position on PLDT, make sure that you position your buying price not at any price, but make sure that you do it within the range that got the biggest volume and the highest number of trades. And in this case, that's between 1,190 all the way to 1,199. So needless to say, my overall sentiment on PLDT is bullish. And that's what you actually see on our investment guide for long-term investing as well. So PLDT is one of those stocks that I monitor for you when it comes to long-term investing. So we have a bullish sentiment on PLDT. I have a bullish sentiment on PLDT in the long term. Okay, in the long term. And it's the same thing for the short-term period. I'm also bullish on PLDT on that part. Okay, so you've heard my overall sentiment and recommendation for PLDT already. Just an added piece of advice. Consider locking in some profits near 1,385. It's still too far-fetched. It's still too far. The current price of PLDT is still quite far from that level, so there's no need to overthink at the 1,385 level for now. So there you go. Next, we have Semirara Corporation, or SCC. SCC closed on Tuesday at 24.5. That's above its VWAP of 24.08. Support is at 23.24. Resistance is at 25.09. By the way, I think I was not able to mention the support and resistance level, or PLDT. Let's go back to PLDT. The immediate resistance of PLDT is at 1,239. Immediate support is at 1,102 pesos per share. Okay, now going back to Semirara. Again, SCC closed on Tuesday at 24.5. It's above its VWAP of 24.08. Support is at 23.24. Resistance is at 25.09. Should it break down below 23.24, that will make 21.48 as its next immediate support level. So volume is also above its 10-day volume average, and today's net foreign trade is a net foreign buying amounting to 45 million pesos. MACD crossed above the signal line last April 11, 2019, and on that day, SCC's candlestick also continued to register a green candlestick above the 10-day simple moving average. So that one, on that day, we spotted a confirmed buy signal already. Volume was high on April 11 as well, just like today. Okay. Now for 2019 year to date, I think foreign investors are still net sellers for 2019 year to date. There's a significant shift on the sentiment of the foreign investors from selling into buying beginning the third week of March 2019. So from the third week of March 2019 and onwards, the most dominant sentiment of the foreign investors is on the bullish side. Okay. Now, historical volatility of PLDT not PLDT but semi-rara is 27.10%, and that's a low risk level for SCC. Now let's find out if the most traded and most voluminous range closed above or near closer to the intraday high than the intraday low, and I think it is. So the most traded range and the most voluminous range is between 24 to 24.5, and that's closer to the intraday high than the intraday low. So we got all four criteria present on Semi-Rara Corporation. So meaning to say, if you have a plan to top up on your position, well, of course, if you have SCC already, and if you plan to do a test buy, make sure that you buy between 24 to 24.5. I just want to give a caveat or a gentle reminder, by the way, especially for those who are planning to enter a position in SCC just now, only now. Watch out for this resistance level at 25.10 or 25.09, because if when the price inches closer to 25.10 or 25 and it is not followed up by strong volume above the 10-day volume average, the potential dominant sentiment at that level could be selling pressure, meaning to say selling pressure could might be the dominant sentiment when the price touches or enters the 25 to 25.10 territory. So just be watchful and conscious or cautious when the price of SEC hits that level. Okay, so my overall sentiment on SEC is still bullish. Okay, next we have JGS. Okay, JGS closed on Tuesday at 62.9. Support is at 60.46. Resistance is at 69.62. This last price closed above its VWAP of 62.45. 62.45. I'd like to remind you, by the way, that despite the appearance of a green candlestick on Tuesday, JGS is still moving below the short-term and medium-term moving averages. Okay, short-term to medium-term moving averages. In fact, MACD already registered a death cross, meaning to say it's a crossover below the signal line. Historical volatility is at 36%, a low risk level for JGS. But despite that low risk level, it seems that foreign investors are still snubbing it. They only registered about 8.5 million pesos of net foreign buying on Tuesday. Nonetheless, for 2019 year-to-date, foreign investors are on a net foreign buying status. So they are bullish on JGS for 2019 year-to-date. So let's find out if all four criteria are present on JGS. If they are, then it would be nice to buy or enter a new position on JGS within the most voluminous and most traded range. So let's find out. Let's check the price and volume distribution for JGS. We have, there you go. The most traded and most voluminous range of JGS is between 62.55 to 63.05. I repeat, 62.55 to 63.05. So if you would like to do a test buy, make sure that you do it within that range. Okay. So I'm still um, my overall sentiment on JGS is neutral to bullish. Why do I have a reservation on JGS when it comes to this? It's simply because volume is not that outstanding. Although it looks like it's equal to its 10-day volume average, I'm not really that impressed. I'm not that impressed yet about the volume of JGS on Tuesday, and it's quite understandable simply because it's the Holy Week, it's the Lenten season, and most investors, most people are in a vacation mode. So they are not really monitoring their portfolio right now. Well, generally speaking, okay? So my recommendation is that you just do a test buy for short-term trading only, okay? For long-term investing, for long-term investing, I don't recommend that you do a test buy, but for short-term trading, you can do a test buy within that range that I mentioned a while back. Okay, so my overall sentiment is neutral to bullish, with a little bit of hesitation. So Double Dragon is next. Double Dragon closed on Tuesday at 24.45, and we also see a huge volume that's about more than 100% above its 10-day volume average. The last price closed above its VWAP of 24.28. Very good. Support is at 23 pesos. Resistance is at 28 pesos per share. Okay, let me zoom out the chart so you can see the bigger picture. Now, just in case Double Dragon won't sustain its ascent above the 23 territory, and should it break down below that level, the next resistance or the next support would be 17.15. Okay, 17.15. But even before we talk about breaking below 17.15, there's a midterm support that I see somewhere near 20.28, or make that 20.30. Okay, it's about 20.30. I particularly like the alignment of the moving averages. By the way, I'm seeing a perfect bullish alignment between the three simple moving averages. Also, the shorter term ones are already hovering the longer term moving averages. MACD is above the signal line. Historical volatility is at 34%, a low risk level for Double Dragon. Let's find out if the price and volume distribution of Double Dragon is in favor of the bulls. So the most traded range is between 24.75 all the way to 23. Let me repeat that. It's between 24.35 to 24.75. So it's closer to the intraday high than the intraday low. Okay, let's go back to the chart of Double Dragon. My overall sentiment on Double Dragon is bullish. My recommendation is that should you decide to top up or enter a new position, do it within that range that I've mentioned a while ago. Now, if you already have Double Dragon, I suggest that you consider locking in some profits near 28 pesos per share. As always, you don't have to sell everything. Don't be uh, it's not mandatory that you will sell everything in your 28. Maybe you could just sell one, two, three, or half of your total holdings on Double Dragon. Okay, Double Dragon. Foreign investors sold about 7 million pesos worth of shares on Tuesday. For 2019 year to date, the foreign investor sentiment is bullish. It's still bullish for 2019 year to date. So I've given you my overall sentiment and recommendation on Double Dragon already. Let's move on to green. Green closed on Tuesday at 2.88. Support is at 2.34. Resistance is at 2.90. So it's just 2 centavos or 2 ticks away from being at the brink of breaking out or breaking above the immediate resistance at 2.90. Nonetheless, this green candlestick closed above its volume weighted average price of 2.83. For those of you who have green, you would love to see a breakout of up 2.90, because when that happens, that will increase the probability of seeing the 10 SMA crossing above the 50 SMA, and that would be a golden cross. And whenever we see golden crosses between short term and medium term and other longer term moving averages, that just increases our conviction for us to make a forecast, for us to forecast a bullish estimate on the stock overall. Okay, so a breakout above 2.9 is more likely to continue if we will continue to see volume above the 10-day volume average of green. I think green will have, I think it won't be that easy for green to break out above 2.90 if it will just register a volume that's below the 10-day volume average. It would be better for green to register a volume above its 10-day volume average, so that uh, it would be able to gather a more than enough bullish momentum to sustain its ascent above 2.90. And I think green is still getting some support from the bullish sentiment being emitted or being given by MACD as it continues to move above the signal line, and it's already above the zero level as well. Historical volatility, meanwhile, is at 55%, a moderate risk level for green already. Foreign investors sold about 3.5 million pesos worth of shares on Tuesday. For 2019 year-to-date, foreign investors are more or less net sellers. Okay, let's take a look at the price and volume distribution before I drop my recommendation. I almost stated my recommendation for green. So here, the most traded and the most voluminous range on Tuesday was between 2.79 all the way to 2.88. 2.79 to 2.88. Here's my recommendation. Here's what I wanted to say a while back. If you already have green, lock in some profits at 2.9. Okay, lock in some profits at 2.9. This is a midway price point already between 2.3 and 3.5. So I think other traders would also consider locking in some profits near 2.9 to 3 pesos per share on green, just to put their gains on a safe side, so to speak. Okay, so I would suggest that you also do the same. um, should it continue to go up, you still have a few tranches, or maybe half of your previous holdings on green, to be able to take advantage of that ascent in price. But you should it it's better to for me it's better to lock in some profits near between 2.9 to 3 pesos per share. Okay, especially while the price is still moving above the 10-day simple moving average. Okay, so there you go for green. MACD is still moving bullishly, by the way. If you don't have green yet, and you you are planning to buy green, uh, despite the appearance of the four criteria, I would still advise that you monitor, or maybe you should just reevaluate the scenario of green on Monday next week, since we only have one more trading day this Lenten season, this whole week. So it's for me, it would be better to start a new trading watch list next week, Monday, as far as green is concerned. Okay, let's see tomorrow what will happen on green. If the bulls let's see if the bulls still have a strong upward push for green tomorrow. Okay, next we have PHEN. We have PHEN. PHEN closed on Tuesday at 1.51. That's below its VWAP of 1.52. Support is at 1.5. Resistance is at 1.64. Wow, a tall red candlestick and a tall red volume. This indicates that PHEN traders were decided to lock in some profits to sell down PHEN on Tuesday. So this is quite expected. I think I already covered PHEN in my previous videos, and I mentioned also in my previous videos on PHEN that you should consider locking in some profits near 1.64 or anywhere above 1.60. Just replay those past videos and you would be able to hear those pieces of advice on PHEN. MACD has already registered not yet a confirmed death cross or a crossover below the signal line, but I think it's the trajectory that MACD is trying to traverse. Okay, now let's take a look at the price and volume distribution for PHEN. Here you go. The most traded and the most voluminous range is parked closer to the intraday low than the intraday high, and that range is between 1.44 all the way to 1.51. 1.44 to 1.51. My overall sentiment is bearish on PHEN. My advice, if you have a position on PHEN, it's either you sell now. Now, if your trailing stop loss has not been hit yet, my advice is that don't wait for your trailing stop loss to be hit. Consider selling a few tranches already above 1.5. So this is one scenario whereby I would personally consider not waiting for my trailing stop loss to be hit completely. This is a scenario wherein I would consider selling or preempting my trailing stop loss. So this is, I think I mentioned this, preempting your trailing stop loss in my previous videos as well. So this is another example of that. Okay. For those who don't have PHEN, it would be more prudent, wise decision to wait for a pullback near 1.38. Okay, 1.38. Okay, next we have Pure Gold. Pure Gold closed on Tuesday at 44 pesos per share. It broke below its previous resistance at 44, previous support rather, at 44.3, and that level is now acting as its immediate resistance already. So current support is at 42.20, 44.20. It closed on Tuesday below its VWAP of 44.63, 44.63. Foreign investors sold about 143 million pesos worth of shares on Tuesday. That's the biggest net foreign selling of PLDT in one day since when? Let me backtrack a little. 143. Wow, that was the biggest net foreign selling of Pure Gold since August 18, 2018, since last year. Biggest net foreign selling in one day. 144 million pesos worth of shares, and that triggered the drop in the price of Pure Gold. This is also the reason why I gave Pure Gold the bearish overall sentiment in our long investment guide for long-term investing. Meaning to say, for the long-term investors who are listening right now, don't buy Pure Gold yet. Don't top up yet on Pure Gold. Now, for short-term trading, it's the same piece of advice. Don't hurry in buying Pure Gold. Don't hurry just yet. Okay? Wait for a deeper pullback closer to 42.20 as much as possible. So that's my overall sentiment and recommendation for Pure Gold. But for what it's worth, let me show you the price and volume distribution. So the most voluminous and most traded range of Pure Gold is registered between, there are two ranges that I'm seeing actually. It's between 43.75 to 44 pesos per share, and another one between 44.5 all the way to 44.65. So those are two ranges that may act as the intraday support and resistance levels of Pure Gold on Wednesday. However, those ranges may not be revisited anymore if Pure Gold will continue its bearish momentum or bearish pressure, especially that volume is relatively strong, above its 10-day volume average. So it's all the more that I would stand on to my advice for you that you should wait for a pullback closer as much as possible to 42.20. Okay, next we have Philippine National Bank. PNB closed on Tuesday at 50.8. That's below the VWAP of 51.67. Support is at 49.30. Resistance is at 56.5. Do note that PNB is already moving below its 50 SMA, so it's no longer a trending stock. It already broke the uptrend at that very moment that it went below the 50 SMA. It has been in a downtrend as far as the MACD's position is concerned. MACD has been moving bearishly below the signal line since March 22, 2019. Okay, on Tuesday's volume is also above the 10-day volume average, and foreign investors sold about 7 million pesos worth of shares on Tuesday. For 2019 year to date, foreign investors have I think it's a net foreign selling status for PNB. Historical volatility of PNB is pegged at 45%. That's the low risk level for PNB still. Uh, let's take a look at the price and volume distribution. So the most traded and the most voluminous range is printed somewhere between 50.80 all the way to 52 pesos per share. Okay, it's closer to the intraday low than the intraday high. And you know that that criterion is not a buy signal. Okay, so wait some more. Wait for a pullback closer to 49.30. But it doesn't mean that you should buy right away when it hits that price. You have to reevaluate. Unless and until those four criteria that we like are present, we should not entertain the idea of entering a new position or topping up onto our existing shares on any stock. Okay? And I have, based on this, I think PNB is more inclined into revisiting its previous support, not just at 49.30 but even lower than that at 43.32. But let's take things one event at a time, so let's not be too ahead of our forecast. uh, in fact, 43.30 is still relatively far from 49.30, so there's still a lot of things that may happen between between that level. But for now, my overall sentiment is bearish on PNB, and you've heard my overall my recommendation as well a while back. Okay, next we have VITA. VITA closed on Tuesday at 1.52. Oh no, it's a towering volume again. It's a towering volume in favor of the bears. It closed below its VWAP of 1.57. Support is at 1.36. Resistance is at 1.75. MACD already registered a death cross. It crossed below the signal line. It's a bearish signal. And foreign investors sold about 1.4 million worth of shares. Historical volatility is at 76%. A high risk level for VITA at this level already. I think VITA must recover its position above 1.6. Otherwise, it would be the probability of hitting 1.36 is higher than recovering above 1.6 if it will fail to regain its position above 1.6 on Wednesday. Let's take a look at the price and volume distribution for VITA. The most traded and most voluminous range was registered between 1.5 to 1.58. That's closer to the intraday low than the intraday high. Again, 1.5 to 1.58. My overall sentiment is bearish on VITA. My recommendation is that you wait near 1.36. That's not a command to buy it right away at 1.36, and again and again you have to reevaluate every time the stock hits a deeper support level. If you need assistance on that, always post a request inside our private clients forum and I'll come to the rescue. Okay, so last in the list we have ZHI. ZHI closed on Tuesday at 0.34. That's below its VWAP of 0.348. Support is at 0.3145. Resistance is at 0.4146. ZHI is no longer moving above its 10 SMA and 50 SMA. It already broke the It's still consolidating. In fact, ZHI has been in the consolidation phase since February, since the first week of February, between the support and resistance levels that I've mentioned. The Tuesday trading, it came with a strong bearish volume above its 10-day volume average. MACD, meanwhile, and as expected, it continues to register. Uh, it continues to move below the signal line. And foreign investors bought about 1 billion pesos worth of shares on Tuesday. For their participation is not actually significant or important on ZHI, so we're not going to factor that in. But let's take a look at the price and volume distribution for ZHI. So the most traded and most voluminous range is registered between 0.335 all the way to 0.35. It's closer to the intraday low than the intraday high. My overall sentiment is I think I'll go sideways on ZHI. That has been its trend. That has been the trend of ZHI since the first week of February this year. It has just been moving sideways between 0.3145 and 0.4146. But if this sideways movement, once this sideways direction draws closer to the support level and volume is still high, then that will put ZHI at the brink of breaking down below 0.3145. But as I've said a while back, let's take things one event at a time. Let's analyze the setting, the scenario, one event at a time. Okay, but for now, I am sideways to bearish on ZHI. My recommendation is that you wait for the price to reach an exhaustion level near 0.3145. So there you go. You've heard my technical analysis, overall sentiment, and recommendation for these 10 stocks. If you have follow-up questions, please post your request inside our private clients forum. Again, my name is JZ De Guzman. May you have a disciplined, an independent, and profitable last trading day of the week this Holy Week. My name is JC De Guzman and have a great day. Bye for now.